Welcome to our Middle East briefing show. Today, we're diving into some hot topics from around the globe. First up, President Trump has taken a firm stance on Iran's nuclear program, insisting that Iran must completely dismantle its uranium enrichment efforts, no exceptions. This move seems to go against previous negotiations that allowed limited civilian enrichment, highlighting Trump's strict no-enrichment policy. Next, in Western Australia, residents are raising concerns over a proposed Chinese-backed iron ore mine near Yalgoo. The community worries about potential damage to underground water supplies and the destruction of Joker's Tunnel, a historic tourist site. Despite environmental approvals, local authorities are concerned about balancing economic benefits with preserving cultural and environmental treasures. Finally, tensions in Gaza continue to escalate. The UN is calling for an investigation after Israeli forces reportedly fired on civilians seeking aid, killing at least 3 and injuring many more. With ongoing airstrikes and a worsening humanitarian crisis, both sides are under intense scrutiny, and the situation remains extremely tense. Please continue to watch for more detailed coverage. The Associated Press reports that President Donald Trump, in a surprising turn, publicly declared that he would not permit Iran to enrich uranium at any level, seemingly contradicting the nuanced proposals from his special envoy, Steve Witkoff. While negotiations have hinted at allowing Iran to retain low-level civilian enrichment capabilities, Trump's blunt social media statement emphasized a hardline stance: "We will not allow any enrichment of uranium," underscoring his administration's unwavering goal to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. This stance comes amid reports of a proposed deal that would permit Iran to keep some enrichment for peaceful purposes under a regional consortium, a plan reminiscent of the 2015 nuclear deal, which Trump's administration had previously dismantled. The U.S. officials, speaking anonymously, insisted that the current tough terms would ensure Iran could never produce a nuclear bomb, despite Iran's claims that its nuclear program is solely peaceful. Iran, meanwhile, continues to amass near-weapons-grade uranium, raising international alarm, with the UN's nuclear watchdog confirming increased stockpiles since February. The conflicting messages highlight the complexities of diplomacy. Trump's firm rhetoric appears to undermine ongoing negotiations that could potentially allow Iran limited enrichment, a move that has sparked criticism from former officials and concerns among Israel and U.S. pro-Israel lawmakers, who fear it could undermine efforts to prevent nuclear proliferation. According to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, a small community in Western Australia is embroiled in a tense debate over a proposed Chinese-backed iron ore mine near Yalgoo. The residents fear that the development, which has already received environmental approval, will irreversibly damage their underground water sources and threaten a historic tourist site, Joker's Tunnel, carved through solid rock by gold miners in the 1800s. The local government has lodged objections, citing concerns over groundwater depletion and the potential destruction of the tunnel, which they regard as a cultural treasure. Despite assurances from the mining company, FI joint venture, that strict conditions will be met and that alternative water supplies will be provided if needed, community leaders remain apprehensive about the long-term environmental and cultural impacts, especially as the company plans to build extensive infrastructure, including pipelines and an airstrip, to support the mine's operations. The Independent reports on Senator John Fetterman's recent outspoken criticism of his own Democratic Party's handling of border security under President Biden. Fetterman sharply criticized the administration's immigration policies, comparing the influx of migrants, up to 300,000 monthly encounters, to the population of Pittsburgh, and calling the situation a chaos that threatens national security. While affirming his support for immigrant rights and certain border investments, Fetterman expressed discontent with the current approach, which he believes has been mismanaged. He also voiced concerns about the Democratic Party's stance on Israel amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, asserting his moral support for Israel despite internal party disagreements. His outspoken stance has sparked speculation about a potential party switch, but Fetterman denies plans to change affiliation, emphasizing his pro-choice, pro-immigration, and pro-LGBTQ positions, which he feels make him unsuitable for the Republican Party. Meanwhile, questions about his mental health persist following reports of struggle since his stroke, though he maintains his well-being and dismisses criticisms as misrepresentations. Al Jazeera details the harrowing escalation of violence in Gaza, where Israeli forces have once again opened fire on Palestinians seeking humanitarian aid at a distribution site, killing at least 3 and injuring over 30. Witnesses describe the scene as a pattern of deadly shootings, with Israeli snipers and drones monitoring aid efforts, often without warning. The UN has called for an independent investigation into these incidents, condemning the targeting of civilians attempting to access food and medical supplies amid the ongoing siege. The situation in Gaza remains dire, with Israeli airstrikes continuing to devastate residential areas, killing civilians, including children, and trapping thousands under rubble. As Israel orders further displacement of Gaza's population, the territory faces a humanitarian catastrophe, with the UN warning of impending famine and widespread suffering. Satellite images reveal Israeli military infrastructure in evacuated zones, fueling accusations of ethnic cleansing and raising international alarm over the escalating violence and the grim prospects for Gaza's future. BBC reports a harrowing scene in Gaza where the UN Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, urgently called for an independent probe into the deadly incident near a Gaza aid distribution center in Rafah. Witnesses described being shot at while waiting for food, with casualties reaching 179 according to the Red Cross, including women and children with gunshot and shrapnel wounds. The Hamas-run civil defense reported 31 deaths, while Israel vehemently denied firing at civilians, claiming instead that their troops had not engaged in any hostile fire near the site. Despite conflicting narratives, reports emerged of Israeli tanks approaching and opening fire on crowds, with evidence from drone footage and witnesses suggesting chaos and violence, though verification remains elusive due to Israel's restrictions on media access. The situation remains tense, with ongoing investigations and accusations of misinformation from both sides, as the humanitarian crisis deepens with more casualties and displaced civilians in Gaza. In Colorado, a disturbing act of violence unfolded when Mohammed Sabri Solomon, a man with a history of anti-Semitic sentiments, was charged with a federal hate crime for allegedly planting Molotov cocktails and attacking a pro-Israeli rally in Boulder. The attack, which injured 12 people during a gathering aimed at raising awareness about Hamas hostages, was fueled by extremist rhetoric and anti-Zionist hatred, with Solomon reportedly expressing his desire to kill Zionist individuals. The incident took place amid heightened tensions in the U.S., where anti-Semitic violence has surged in response to the ongoing Gaza conflict. Authorities uncovered evidence of the suspect's plans, including homemade firebombs and social media posts, revealing a long-standing intent to commit violence. The attack, coinciding with the Jewish holiday of Shavuot, echoes a broader pattern of violence linked to the Israel-Hamas war, stirring fears of domestic extremism amid a deeply polarized political climate. Meanwhile, reports from Gaza indicate a grim escalation as Israeli military operations continue to target Hamas infrastructure, with dozens of casualties near a humanitarian aid center in Jabalia. Palestinian sources report at least 16 deaths and numerous injuries in the northern Gaza Strip, with civilians caught in the crossfire amid Israel's expanded ground and air assaults. Hamas officials accuse Israel of killing civilians near aid distribution points, claiming that 3 individuals were shot dead in Rafah during nighttime clashes, a claim Israel's military says is under investigation. The relentless violence has resulted in over 54,000 Palestinian deaths since the conflict reignited, with Israel asserting that its strikes target terrorist sites and weapons caches. Tensions remain high across the occupied territories, with a 14-year-old Palestinian boy shot dead in the West Bank and rising violence from Israeli settlers, reflecting a landscape of ongoing conflict and suffering that shows no signs of abating. The BBC reports a harrowing incident in Boulder, Colorado, where Mohammed Sabri Solomon, a 45-year-old Egyptian national, meticulously planned a violent attack against pro-Israel demonstrators for over a year. The FBI reveals that Solomon, driven by intense anti-Zionist sentiments, used YouTube tutorials to craft Molotov cocktails and armed himself with gasoline and incendiary devices, intending to kill all Zionists. On the day of the attack, he targeted a peaceful gathering organized by Run for Their Lives, shouting, "Free Palestine," while throwing incendiaries that injured 8 individuals, including a Holocaust survivor. The victims ranged in age from 52 to 88, with injuries varying from minor burns to serious trauma. Post-arrest, Solomon confessed his hatred for Zionists and his desire to carry out further violence, expressing his intent to kill all Zionist people and revealing his online research and preparations. His immigration status was precarious. He overstayed a tourist visa, filed for asylum, and was working as an Uber driver at the time of his arrest, raising questions about security measures and immigration enforcement. Australian Broadcasting Corporation emphasizes the chilling details of Solomon's premeditated attack, which was motivated by ideological hatred and fueled by the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. The FBI affidavit states that Solomon, who described his target as a Zionist group, assembled homemade Molotov cocktails from materials bought after researching online. The scene was grim, with witnesses describing the chaos as flames erupted and individuals were burned. Law enforcement found additional unlit cocktails and gasoline containers in his car, along with papers bearing references to Israel, Palestine, and USAID. The attack coincided with the Jewish holiday of Shavuot and followed recent violent incidents targeting Israelis in the U.S., including a deadly shooting outside a Jewish museum in Washington. The incident drew condemnation from U.S. officials, with Attorney General Pam Bondi vowing to prosecute Solomon to the fullest extent, highlighting the ongoing threat of ideologically motivated violence amid heightened tensions in the region. Yahoo US details the upcoming release of Ryan Coogler's hit horror film Sinners, which stars Michael B. Jordan portraying twins Smoke and Stack returning to their Mississippi Delta hometown in the 1930s to open a juke joint. The film, which premiered in theaters on April 18, 2025, will be available for digital rent or purchase on June 3, 2025, with physical editions following on July 8. Sinners has captivated audiences with its gripping storytelling, featuring a cast that includes Haley Steinfeld, Wunmi Mosaku, and Delroy Lindo. The story explores themes of community, ambition, and the darker forces that threaten the protagonist's dreams, set against the vibrant backdrop of the Deep South during the Great Depression. Director Ryan Coogler emphasizes that he designed the film as a complete experience rather than a franchise, with detailed behind-the-scenes features and extended scenes available in the upcoming home release, promising fans an immersive dive into the film's creative process. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Lights dim, voices loud, headlines flashing wild. World in a frame and now, stories told, it's time to vow. Eyes glued, truth pursued, understanding woven through. Heartbeats race breaking through, knowledge spreads the new view. Breaking the news, breaking the day, truth and insight our way. Every story, every play, live and clear we convey. Shadows lift, facts unfold, moments chasing, stories told. Heroes, villains, tales of old. In this hour, truth is gold. Depths revealed, voices bright, news in focus, black and white. Every angle sheds some light, morning, evening, through the night. Breaking the news, breaking the day, truth and insight our way. Every story, every play, live and clear we convey. Truth and insight our way. Truth and insight our way. Breaking the news, breaking the day, truth and insight our way. Every story, every play, living clear we convey. Every story, every play, and clear we convey. Truth and insight our way. Truth and insight Veiled voices bright, news in focus, black and white. Every angle sheds some